Assalamualaikum and good morning. To the respected panel, I hope you are doing well. Thank you for taking time to watch my final year project video presentation. First of all, my name is Nur Hidayah binti Bikasim, a final year student from the Bachelor of Science with Honours in Industrial Hygiene Technology and Safety at UiTM Shah Alam. The title of my research is Assessment of Airborne Ammonia Exposure and Occupational Risk Among Workers in a Glove Manufacturing Facility. Throughout this presentation, I will be discussing the background of this study, the problem statement, research objective, research methodology, and the expected outcome of this research. Before explaining my research objective, I would like to briefly introduce the background and research problem of my study. So, on this study, I choose to focus on one chemical, which is ammonia, because it is one of the chemicals that used in the glove manufacturing industry. Its main functions on this ammonia is to stabilize natural latex that act as preservative agent that prevent bacterial growth and spoilage. Also, ammonia also acts as anticoagulants agent that prevent the liquid latex from clotting or solidifying prematurely during storage or any processing, which this help to maintain the quality of the product and reduce production losses. However, ammonia is only used in a specific work processes, and it is not used throughout the entire manufacturing process. The big reason I selected ammonia as the focus on this study due to the occupational health concern, because of ammonia itself is highly volatile, meaning that it can easily evaporate into the air, so workers are easily to exposed through inhalation, which may cause irritation to the eyes, nose, throat, and the whole respiratory system. And it's also colorless, which cannot be seen by naked eyes. So furthermore, with repeated exposure to ammonia, it may reduce the sensitivity to the strong odor. It can be said that it causes the workers to experience odor fatigue, that leading them to the unnoticed overexposure. So, this study is very important that provide benefits from several perspectives, which divided into two categories. First categories is academic contributions like academic community, future researchers, which help them on expanding more local knowledge on airborne exposure and provide baseline data that open the opportunities for further studies for future research. Second category is practical contributions, which is support workers, employers, and occupational hygiene itself on improving their exposure management. Plus, this study also provide DOSH or any regulatory agencies for their references that act as supporting data, which very helpful for them to conduct any inspections or any enforcement activities later. Although ammonia has been widely studied in different industry, several research gap is still exists, which limited local data on airborne ammonia exposure among workers in Malaysian glove manufacturing plants. Other than that, there is limited information which work area and which work activities that are associated with higher exposure on ammonia. And lastly, limited occupational exposure assessment, specifically involving glove manufacturing workers in Malaysia. So this gap highlight the need for this study. So, moving on to the research objective, which this study consists of the three main objectives. The first objective aims to measure the actual level of ammonia exposure received by individual workers during their work shift. The second objective is identify which work area, which work activities that are associated with higher ammonia concentration within the workplace. And the last one, the third one, to assess workplace condition that might be associated with airborne ammonia exposure. This includes the factors such as engineering control, work practices, the uses of personal protective equipment (PPE), and other workplace conditions that may influence workers' exposure. Based on these three objectives, three corresponding research questions have been developed. The first research question asks on what is the concentrations level contained in airborne ammonia exposure to workers, and the second one is which work area and work activities that are associated with higher exposure levels, and the third is what is the factor that contribute to workers' exposure to airborne ammonia. These research questions are designed to ensure that each objective can be systematically addressed through the purpose research methodology. Moving on to the research methodology, this study purpose as a descriptive analytical cross-sectional study design. The reason on this chosen is of cross-sectional study is the data will be collected at a single point in time to assess the current level of the exposure among workers without any follow-up period. The study population will consist of the workers who directly involve or contact in processes where the ammonia is used or handled. Participants will be selected using purposive sampling based and only workers who met the inclusion criteria, which is the criteria that directly involved in ammonia-related processes. It will be included in the study. To achieve the first objective, which determine the concentrations level airborne ammonia exposure among workers, personal air sampling is proposed following with the NMAM NIOSH method 6015. The collected samples will be analyzed by accredited laboratory to determine the concentration. For the second objective, area air sampling is proposed to assess in selected work area, and the final sampling location and number of sampling point will be determined after the observations with the company plus with approval. All the information regarding to the work activities will be obtained where permitted. For the third objective, workplace conditions that associated with ammonia exposure are proposed to be assessed using a structured checklist, interview with relevant personnel, and document review. This method will be conducted depending on the level of access permitted by the company. To conclude, all the quantitative data will be analyzed using SPSS to obtain descriptive statistics such as mean, minimum, maximum, standard deviation, variance, and the findings will be presented using table and graph. While the qualitative information that obtained from checklists, interviews, and document review will be summarized descriptively. So, the study expected outcome is to provide baseline data on airborne ammonia exposure among workers in a selected glove manufacturing plant. The study is expected to determine the concentration obtained through personal air sampling and identify work area and work activities associated with higher ammonia concentrations through area monitoring. In addition, the study is expected to provide information on workplace conditions that may influence ammonia exposure, such as engineering control, work practices, and the use of personal protective equipment (PPE). Overall, the findings are expected to improve understanding of airborne ammonia exposure in the glove manufacturing industry and provide useful information for exposure management and future occupational hygiene programs. In conclusion, this proposed study aims to assess airborne ammonia exposure among workers in a glove manufacturing plant and provide the valuable information regarding exposure level, work areas, and workplace conditions associated with ammonia exposure. It is hoped that The findings will be contribute to occupational hygiene knowledge and support workplace exposure management. Thank you for attention. I welcome any question or comments from the panels.